No. It's almost show week. And you know what? That means Ignite will be back. Chapter 5, Sunday. This come on, actually be this coming Sunday at the time it goes out. So it won't be, we're very, very close for the first show of the year, first show of 2026. And it's stacked as ever. And to preview it, there's nobody else we could preview the show with other than the general manager himself, CJ Carr. Happy 2026, CJ. It's been ages since we've spoken, but
I know
chatted
what you mean.
properly.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it has been. November was the last time that we was, in the same vicinity, shall we say. Look, always the show of the first show of 2026 always has to set the tone for Ignite the year. I'm calling it the year. I can't kind of call it like a refresh year because from what I know and from what we've got coming up, lots and lots of new faces. Obviously, the breakout's back as well. I really think this year is a real exciting one for the fans that are attending Ignite shows.
yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to have a little refresh this year, and I think it's
Mhm.
in some ways needed,
Yeah.
and in other ways, our hand has been forced slightly. A
Mhm.
lot of the people we've been working with for the last 2, 3 years are going on to bigger, better things, getting bookings at the top promotions like Rev Pro and Progress and such, and
Yeah.
fair play to them, and that's what Ignites is all about, and what it's always been about is kind of showcasing the kind of like newer, younger talent to an audience that might not have seen them, like the Nino Bryants who've gone on and done big things, and the CPFs of this world who are actually back on this show, which is great, but
Yeah.
also the Trues and the Lacey's, and but they are getting harder to pin down and harder to get on shows. So we're going to have to start bringing through that next crop of new talents. And I know you've been out there watching a lot of shows and checking out a lot of the talents on shows around your way as well, and recommending people. So as you pointed out, we've got a few debuts on this one, both in the breakout and also on the card itself, outside of the breakout. And I think you'll see a lot of that come in this year. You had Isaac Blair come in at the
Yeah.
back end of last year, who really impressed us.
Mhm.
And you're going to see a lot more talents like that coming through this year, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. And I think in that case, there's only one place to start this. The breakout returns. Now, Tommy Tanner, obviously, we'll get to him in a minute. I can't see the man behind me. So we've got Tyson Keaton, we've got Ryan Curran, and we've got Jimmy Zero. Now, Jimmy Zero, this is a prime example of someone that's been recommended to you by actually, funny enough, one of the members of CPF, I believe, who, funny enough, recommended to somebody else that we'll talk about in a minute. But Tyson, we know very well. I've seen him in a lot of shows, good martial arts background. He combines speed with that background as well. He's got some very hard hitting moves. So I'm very looking forward to sort of seeing him in the Ignite ring. Jimmy Zero, I'll be totally honest and no disrespect to him. I know nothing about that guy. So that's someone fresh to me. The other guy I know very well, and that is Mr. Ryan Curran. Now, this could play into a lot of hands here because Ryan is a member of the Rebellion, which is obviously fronted by Taylor James and Tom Mercer. So we're going to have a lot of rebellion on the show. But Ryan is someone that for me that I've seen in tags and I've seen in singles. He can wrestle in abundance of different ways, abundance of different styles, like he said when he was on the show recently. So this one should be a real good match of sort of similar but in a way contrasting styles, which normally works very well together.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it there. It's like, Ryan and Tom are two people we've both had our eyes on for a
Yep.
good while. Ryan is someone I've known for a very long time, actually, even before his Rebellion days. And I've kind of followed his career from, very early on, and wanted to try and get him in. And like I said, with this being a bit of a refresh year this year and bringing in a lot of new talents, the breakout's the perfect place to do that. And now he's kind of solidified himself as part of the rebellion at a lot of places across the country. So obviously aligned with our current champion, Taylor James, and he's his henchman, Tom Mercer, who seems to get involved in every one of his matches. So keep your eyes open for people getting involved in this match. You never know what might happen with Ryan being part of the rebellion. But aside from that, a very impressive talent. And I know you've seen him on shows and been very
Yeah.
impressed with him. And Tyson Keaton is someone who you again have seen on
Mhm.
shows and has impressed you. And he's someone who's been around the Ignite shows for about a year now, and he comes down, he helps out on our shows, he does ring crew for us.
Yeah.
Great guy. And really looking forward to seeing what he can do in the ring. Obviously, I've seen bits and pieces of his work online, but have not seen him live like yourself. But if you're recommending them both, then I'm sure they're top quality because you don't
I
aren't.
could be
I
getting the
mean,
sack by the end of this show.
just look. All you gotta do is look at the quality of the people that come in for the Turnbuckle Championship matches, and you can
Yeah.
kind of people don't get recommended by yourself unless they're of a certain quality. And I'm sure both of these two will be going out there to try and want to, steal the show on their debut because that's what everyone does in the breakout, and that's what it's all about. I mean, look what we've ended up with like Tommy Tanner already. He came in,
Yeah.
literally stole the show from day one in his breakout match, and he's now, as we'll speak about later, looking at a title shot already. So, and then you got Jimmy Zero, who, like yourself, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about. He came recommended to me from Joe Lando of CPF. And like yourself, if Joe recommends someone, he's going to be good.
Yeah.
He'd met him doing tours of Japan, because he's from Australia. And so yeah, he's been out over in Japan. He's worked for New Japan. I have been online. I've watched his work. Very impressed. Obviously, not seen him live, but if it's someone that Joe wants to see on a show, he's going to tear the house down. So really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. Funny enough, the match that I saw Tyson in involved Ryan Curran as well, which Ryan was involved in that match. I saw them work very, very well together. So it's a great one to have back in. Funny enough, I think it was Ted Saban, which kind of, when you look at Jimmy Zero, I know they're two different characters, but in terms of stature and what they can do in there, and I've also seen the videos of Jimmy, it should make for a thrilling way for the breakout to begin this year. I'm very much looking forward to I always look forward to the breakout. And when I go to the shows, yes, I've got one eye on contenders for that Turnbuckle Championship, of course, but I've also got one eye on the breakout competition, and this one should be an absolute barn burner, so to speak, for the crowd.
Absolutely. And it's such an important match to us. It's where we found so many of our regular talents over the years. And, people who like Nino Bryant who have come in and moved on, Mark True, who has, come in and won championships, but is now getting booked all around the world and booked for all the top promotions in this country. And then last year, you've got to look at talents like Tommy Tanner, Denzel Mack, who are all going to be, I'm sure, regulars on our show going forward. So it's such an important part of Ignite, and any one of these three could, end up being regulars on the show. Obviously, kind of dependent on Jimmy being in the country, but depends how many
Yeah.
tours of the UK he wants to do. But we could be looking at a whole new batch of regulars for our shows.
But I mean, if he wins this match, he'll have to tour in November because he's
Yeah, I
got
know.
a
Gonna
breakout
make
final.
gonna make a November show very expensive if he wins this one. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Wasn't Ryan doing us? Didn't Ryan? I'm sure Ryan said that you done a seminar. And he was one of, or he was there. You were a part of Ryan's first
Yeah,
show.
yeah, absolutely. I took training at RCWA a few
Yes.
times, when it was, we're talking, God, 4 years ago, something like that. And Ryan was in those training classes where he was just first starting out. He hadn't even had a professional match yet. So yeah, we know each other from as far back as that. I'm thinking it was probably 20, it would have been like 2021, 2022. So
Mm.
yeah, nearly 5 years ago. So it's great to see how far he's come in his career, and really looking forward to what he's going to do on, an Ignite show.
And of course, we can't forget breakout winners as also Mr. Happy, who will be involved, who we'll speak about later
Of
on.
course,
Who
how did I forget? Obviously,
don't forget these things. He's gonna he
Aries, of
doesn't
course,
smile as it is, Mr. Aries.
breakout winner, went on to cash in and become Ignite champion. So, and as we will speak about what may come potentially for him later on as well. But yeah, another obviously regular, been on every single show since. So, that is what can happen. That is what can come out of these matches. So,
Yeah, very much so. Right. Now a singles match that's going to be an interesting one. We obviously know both of these men very, very well. One being the big boy himself, Tall Tom Mercer, another Rebellion member, and then Mr. Denzel Mack returns. Look, Denzel was great last year. Unlucky not to obviously win the breakout. Tom's been on the periphery of championship matches. This one could easily, it's not got a number one contendership beside it, but it could easily be a number one contendership for either championship. Both have impressed very much in the last year at Ignite. Tom's had some stellar matches. Will Cruz was one that he absolutely excelled in. And like I said, Denzel's been great in the breakout opportunity. But both of these men have a chance now of coming through and potentially getting a championship opportunity, maybe as early as the next show. Who knows?
Yeah, and again, this is a great segue from the last match we were just talking about, the breakout, and these two came from the breakout last year, and like most people did in last year's breakout division, really kind of, you know, I try not to be too cliche, but they really broke out. I was trying to think of a better word for it, but to be pretty cliche, these two really broke out last year on the Ignite shows coming out of the breakout division. Made massive impressions on the fans for different reasons, but also on ourselves. Tom went on to have some outside of even the breakout division, some big matches with Corey McRae and with Will Cruz. Came really close in both of those matches, and both of these two ended up in the final four of the breakout final, and in Tom's case, the final two with Tommy Tanner. So I'm thinking that these two are now going to want to step out of that kind of breakout mold that they've been seen in from last year, and they really want to cement their place higher up the card, I'm sure. And like you said, if they can pick up a win here, they'll be really moving up towards title contention, be that for the Turnbuckle title or the Ignite Championship. Although, obviously, with Taylor holding the Ignite Championship, could put the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit if he wants to go for that title. But yeah, this is really, we'll really see now who wants to climb up the ladder at Ignite with this one.
Wouldn't that ruffle a few feathers? Wouldn't it ruffle a few feathers in the Rebellion if Tom was to win that one and potentially get a title opportunity? That would be. I shit stirred last time when I said you could win the breakout and cash it in on Taylor, and that didn't go down well. As you can imagine. But yeah, really looking forward to this and seeing who breaks out. But we mentioned earlier on about recommendations, and this match is I don't know. Is it going to be difficult to top? Yes. However, I think there may be a match that might do it, and I'll get into it in a minute. But this is one that I am so looking forward to. Now, we know CPF. We know how good they are. Joe Lando now he's now a singles champion as well in other promotions. So he's doing things his own way a little bit. But again, when it comes to recommendations, the two boys behind me, the First Class Flyers, making their Ignite debut, I saw them at the back end of last year. Very, very impressive what these boys can do. I mean, this match is it's kind of like the Hardy Boys, I don't know, versus, I don't know, Edge and Christian. Yeah, in terms of how great this match is going to be, without want to put too much pressure on these guys, this could be match of 2026 right here at Ignite on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could go down as one of the best tag matches we've ever had for sure. I mean, every time CPF step in the ring for us, they kind of take it to another level in terms of the best tag matches we've seen at Ignite. They're always involved in them. And as you pointed out, these two come recommended from CPF. Danny Black's been training them at Play Fight in London, and Joe's had a hand in that as well. And I thought, since they were recommended by them, let's put them in the ring together and let's see what they got. And yeah, two high flyers, well, four high flyers, but two high flying tag teams going to be going out there. I feel sorry for Nick the ref having to try and keep up with it, or flying around the ring, the arena, the outside. I've not seen First Class Flyers live yet, but have seen their work online a lot. And my goodness, some of the stuff they can do is incredibly impressive. And we all know the standard that CPF have set in the tag division, not just the Ignite, but all over the country. And they're two, like I was talking about at the beginning, that, have been with us pretty much since day one. Joe was, since literally from day one, opened our very first show with Corey, and have since then gone on to huge things, not just in this country, but around the world. So anytime they want to come back to Ignite, that's always a big deal for us and for the fans, and for them to come back and take on these two, like the two that could actually be potentially the next CPF in this country. That's what's being spoken about. So we've got the future versus the kind of current right now. And yeah, it's going to be explosive. It's going to be, I'm not sure the people at 96 Shenley Road are going to know quite where to look or how to follow this one, because it's just going to be like, everywhere.
Wouldn't want to be the cameraman either.
Exactly. The ref, the cameraman, the fans, this is going to be off the charts. So,
although I am looking forward to some good content for my YouTube stuff. So the shorts on this one should be incredible for the shorts I'm putting out at the moment. And yeah, these four are gonna tear the house down. Now, I did say though, I reckon there's a match on this show which is going to go under the radar for people until it actually happens. And I'm sure they will both deliver on this. And this is the match I'm talking about right here.
yes.
Now, people, Jaden Williams for me, I've now the back end of last year. I know we saw him at Ignite a few times. I saw Jaden a plethora of times at the back end of last year. And the guy's finished university. He was on the show. He was explaining it. And he's now coming back into wrestling full time. And what I've seen of him in this, I couldn't think of a perfect opponent for Corey McRae. And Corey, as we know, and as you know, he could have potentially won the title last time. We know he's desperate for another shot at the championship. There's no doubt about that. But you put these two together, I got a feeling that this, like I said, it's going to go under the radar by people that may see the graphic. But when they get it on in the ring, I said potentially match of 2026 in the last show. I think this one is an absolute sleeper for the match of 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at this card from top to bottom. There are so many matches.
Mm.
It could be match of the night. They could even end the year match of the year. Corey's had a hand in so many great matches at Ignite over the years, and like you said, he's had two bites at trying to get his championship back last year. Hasn't quite got it done, and now he's going in to face Jaden Williams, who's making his return after being in the breakout next year. And so he is really going to want to be proving a point here, because he does not want to give up on that chase for that championship. I know that. I know how much that means to him to get that back, being the longest reigning champion in Ignite history. And Jaden's now back from his breakout division match last year. And like you said, so impressive. My God, he impressed me for years and years, even before he came in. But then, as you kind of alluded to, he kind of focused on his university for a little while. But now he's finished university, he's back doing wrestling full time. We finally got to bring him in last year. Couldn't have been happier to bring him in. And he has really got a showcase match here with a former Ignite champion, someone who held the belt longer than anyone else. And this is his chance to really, really cement his place on our roster. And, Corey's going to want to be looking to get back in that title picture for sure. But he shouldn't be looking straight past Jaden, because this is not going to be an easy match for me in any stretch of the imagination. And if Jaden can get the win here, it'd be a bit of a shock. But at the same time, I'm sure then he's going to be knocking on my door saying, look, I want a title shot. This guy's a former champion. I'm coming in. I've shown you what I can do. I've just beat him. Where's my title shot? So, like we were just talking about with Tom and Denzel Mack, this is another one where whoever comes out of this with the victory is, I'm sure, going to want to be asking for a title shot of some kind after this one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it could be a surprise if Jada wins. It could just be as simple as a coin toss, either. The way that, in terms of, look at the form guide, so to speak, as well. And Jada's a champion elsewhere, so he's got that championship.
Yeah, no,
credentials.
absolutely. Shouldn't be. Corey should not be looking past him. Just because he's not been on that many Ignite shows yet does not mean he's not experienced, because he has been around a long time, been doing a lot of shows. So he started very young. So he does have experience that people, I don't think, realize that he has. And like you pointed out, he's won championships. He holds championships. Just because he's not as experienced at Ignite as Corey does not mean he's not an experienced wrestler, and does not mean that he doesn't have all the skills to go in there and get a win over Corey. So
we will see. That's for sure. That's a one. But to be honest, I know the tag match, but I think people may not be expecting how good this match can be. I hope I'm not setting the bar too high for him, but I
No,
really,
you're totally right. You're totally right.
yeah.
Obviously, could not put these two over enough if I tried. Corey is just, a mainstay at Ignite. Everyone who's ever been to an Ignite show knows what he's capable of and the quality of matches that he can have. And Jaden's now, I think, really going to show everyone what he's all about in this match as well. Because, like you've said, such a top talent.
Yeah, he really, really is. Question about this show: is Skip back?
Oh, I was gonna, you've taken the announcement. I mean, you can.
Sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. It was coming, but you are right. You can announce it right here on your podcast officially. It's official. The big man, Sunset Skip, is back. February 15th, chapter 5. If there's a handful of tickets left, and there's no other reason to grab one than to see the return of Sunset Skip, the face and voice of Ignite. So yes, he is back. He's back for this one.
We great stuff. Nothing against Chase, of course, but Skip's the
Oh,
man.
Chase has been great, but Skip's been with us since day one, and there's nothing like having Sunset Skip out there from start to finish of our shows.
Indeed. I mean, last time we done one of these shows, I kind of preempted the fact that he would be back, and you corrected me and said you just got the memo that he wasn't. Hence why I had to ask the question because I didn't want to.
No, I was saving it for a little announcement, like next week, maybe week, like, oh well, next week,
You'd
this
be
week,
fine.
when this show goes out, but you know, but it's there. There you go, exclusive. Sunset Skip's back.
I take that off as another exclusive on this channel to go with some of the other ones. But no, to be fair, by the time this goes out, the announcement may already be out, so you might be all right. You might
Fair
have
enough.
got away. You might have got away with it. Right. Championship matches at Ignite. And God, do you know what? I didn't think I would get another pain in the ass after Mark Tripp, right? Until Mr. Happy comes along. Right. This last.
Think about you and your title, Adam. You just magnetize these people, these really happy, joyful people who seem to, have a grudge against you in that championship.
So I magnify asshole pricks, is what you basically say.
I hope he's not going to listen to this and hear that. He's going to be out there. He'll see you around ringside, I'm sure, at some point. He'll have you in that ring.
He gave me an evil in the last match. In the triple threat, I was trying to record stuff, and he gave me
That's just his face, I think. I don't know about
yeah, the face that launched 1,000, I don't know what, and certainly not smiles. That's for sure. Anyway, look, Chris Aries, Aluna. So triple threat match was the last match. Chris 40. Well, he probably did have the match won. I think there's an argument for and against that. Aluna made certain that he didn't get the victory on this. So Chris demanded the one-on-one match. It's hard not to give it to him, even though I was really tempted not to, just to see him not smile again. But I'm used to him not smiling. So I had to give him the one-on-one match. However, I must say that I've seen a few comments from people that saying that Arthur Scurro should be banned from ringside on this. I don't know yet. Don't know whether that should happen. But
where are you hearing that? Where have you been hearing that online?
it's on your pages when you announced this match.
Oh wow! I mean, I missed that one. You've got,
They said
got a closer eye on it than me.
Arthur Scurro should be banned from ringside. Well, look,
I don't know how he's going to feel about that. He'll be knocking.
well,
He'll be knocking down your door.
well, join the queue by the sounds of it. But no, look, in all seriousness aside, and joking aside, these two are look, still two of the best. Aluna has been, probably the most arguably the most consistent performer that Ignite has had. Chris has won it near enough all, and that I think that's his biggest gripe, right? Because he knows that if he wins this match or he wins that championship, you become the first ever Grand Slam winner at Ignite, and you cannot. It's like Smashing Mike was the first ever, turnbuckle champion. You can never take that away from somebody. So what Chris really wants more than ever is become this Grand Slam Ignite champion, and that's eating away at him. I think that he hasn't done it. But in all fairness, these two should put together one hell of a contest this on Sunday at Ignite, Chapter 5.
And two kind of pillars of Ignite, to be honest, as well. Like you said, there's
Mm.
not been many people more consistent than Aluna in her time here. But if anyone's going to give her a run for her money, then it's Chris Aries right there,
Mhm.
who kind of he is the epitome of how you make an impression from day one at any place. He came in, he qualified for the breakout final. He won, and then the very next show he won the breakout final. And that very same night he cashed in and became the champion. So within 2 shows, he'd already won the breakout division and then become Ignite champion. I mean, I don't think that will ever be matched or topped in itself, but he still wants to top it and he still wants to prove a point. That's the thing with Chris. He always feels like he's got something to prove. I don't know if he'll ever
Mm.
really stop trying to make a point. I mean, that's why he's so angry. He feels like he's always trying to prove a point to people. I mean, look, as difficult as he can be to work with, never doubt his talent ever. I mean, anyone who can come in and in show 2 become the Ignite champion, I think that says it all, really. But like you said, he is absolutely determined to be the first Grand Slam champion at Ignite, the first person to hold 2 championships, but not just 2 championships, to win the breakout division as well, and have the clean sweep of everything at Ignite. But Aluna's not going to want to give up that championship easy. Like, it means a lot to her. She's been with us pretty much since day one, and she clawed her way to the top, and she had a few kind of, false hopes where she almost got there and didn't quite get there. And then once she finally got to the top and got that championship around her, that she's not going to want to let it go. And she's had some real big matches over the last kind of nearly 12 months with that title. And she's going to want to make it, I think, to a year with that championship and really prove a point that, woman or man, she is the best at Ignite. And I also think that she is kind of a little bit sick of Chris, like a lot of people are. And she's going to want to, put this to bed, put the final nail in the coffin of this, because obviously they had the triple threat on the last show, which Chris got involved in at the end, and she just wants to. She also, wants to prove a point that, you think you're going to be the best that Ignite's ever had because you're going to be Grand Slam champion. Well, she wants to prove that she's the best that Ignite has ever had. So, yeah, 2 people going out there to prove a point for very different reasons. And I'm sure it'll be another absolute classic of a match, because these 2 always have great matches, no matter who they're in the ring with.
Yeah, it will be a great match, and I have to think about that Scaro situation. That's for sure. That's an interesting one. Whether
I'll
we
leave that to
allow.
you to decide.
Thanks. Thanks for that. I can't wait to have another big bloke coming after me, with not being happy. Anyway, we'll see. We'll think about that. But look, let's get to the main event of the evening. And I realized this was the 3 T's or 4 T's when you think about it. But nevertheless, look, Taylor James, he finally got his championship last year. He's fine. He's now defending this championship, and to be fair to him, he's going to have. This is probably, in terms of the toughest tests for champions. I know Tommy Kyle. He's had his matches with Tate. He had matches with Spike and everything like that. But when you look at the 3 people in this ring, and you look at what even the accomplishments that Taylor has done outside of Ignite in the last year or so, he has really kind of been making a really big name in quote unquote the big promotions, so to speak. And that's not a disrespect to Ignite. That's just the
No,
way.
no, that totally, yeah.
I don't think anybody has had an 18 months in a wrestling career like Tommy Tanner has.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't think that is even possible. That guy, to be quite honest with anyone in the UK, I don't think he's going to be around the scene very long, before abroad comes calling, shall we say? And that's his aspiration. He's made that perfectly clear. He wants a WWE tryout. That's exactly what he said, on this show. So we'll see if he gets it. But we talk about consistent people, and somebody that was really Mr. Consistent for Ignite over the last, you could say, 18 months, or since coming back from injury, really, that would be Tommy Kyle. Had the championship, was a fantastic champion. Unfortunately, lost it to Taylor. This is kind of his chance to, and he wanted to prove to Ignite that he was worthy of another. He didn't demand this title shot. He wanted to beat people in order to get this shot back, and he did. The end of the last show, Tommy Tanner was going to cash in. Tom Mercer stopped that, but it ended up with Tommy Tanner and Tommy Kyle. Yeah, Tommy and Tommy, lifting
Tommy.
lifting either side of that championship up. So this is going to be one hell of a triple threat match with 3 of probably the top stars in Brit Rest right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as you always do, you've kind of nailed it there. And Taylor James walking in as champion, walking in for another title defense. You want to talk about people being banned from ringside in your match? I do wonder whether we should have Tom Mercer banned from ringside in this one. Always seems to get involved in everything. Always seems to make sure that Taylor either leaves with that championship or leaves with a win in some way. But look, that's not taken away from his talent. And like you
Mm.
said, over the last sort of 12 months or so, he's really been making a big name for himself in promotions like Rev Pro, and really starting to like take that next step up, in this country, in the UK, and abroad as well, doing a lot of kind of international European.
France and that.
Yep, exactly. Doing a lot of kind of big shows in Europe now as well. So I don't know how much longer we'll have him around for Ignite before he's snapped up by someone. But for as long as he's got that championship, he's going nowhere, that's for sure. And he does not want to let it go. Certainly to either of these two. I tell you what, there's no love lost between him and Tommy Carl. Like, my goodness me. Like, I don't, of all the kind of feuds we've had at Ignite, I don't know that we've ever had two people where there's such kind of animosity between the two of them, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, Tommy, what an absolute mainstay he's been at Ignite. And since coming back from his injury, he has just had, classic after classic with some of the top wrestlers that this country's ever produced in Spike Trivet and Tate Mayfairs. And, he had an absolute Connor Mills, an absolute incredible run as champion. And then it wasn't until, as I just pointed out, Tom Mercer kind of got involved and Taylor James cashed in, and he lost that championship. But to his credit, did not demand a title shot. No, even with those kind of shenanigans that went on at the end of the match, he still didn't demand a rematch and a title shot. He wanted to go out. He wanted to earn his title shot back. He wrestled against Charles Crowley and had another classic match, another top talent in this country, won that one, went out on the previous show, went out, picked up another big win. He's done it the right way. And now, after having beaten some of the best names in the country, Harrison Bennett was obviously on the last show as well. Now he's earned his title shot back. And, it would probably have been a one-on-one had it not been for Tommy Tanner deciding that he now wants to cash in his title shot. He came in our breakout division last year.
Yeah.
He'd only made his in-ring debut, full stop, not last October, but the October before. So as you pointed out, in just over a year, not even 18 months, short of 18 months, he's already in the title picture at Ignite, going for the championship. But not just that, he's now getting regular bookings on the biggest promotions in the country, like Progress, for example. And I am sure that this time next year, we'll be talking about potentially a former Ignite champion by that point being signed by a big promotion in America, be that WWE, be that AEW, whoever that is. As you said, he's got his dream set on WWE at the moment, and I'm sure he'll get there. And I'm sure this time next year, he'll be somewhere like that. And so, just to have him in our main events at the moment will be, something I'm sure we'll look back on and say, my goodness, like, can you believe how big this guy's become? And here he is. And so we've got kind of the future of British wrestling there on the right, and Tommy Tanner. You've got the kind of mainstay of Ignite there on the left, and the current champion in the middle. I really couldn't tell you who I think is going to come out with this championship. Although, unless Tom Mercer is banned from ringside, and that's something I'm going to have to think about. That's always going to weigh the advantage slightly in Taylor's favor there. But Tommy, just like I spoke about with Corey earlier, Tommy Carl wants that title back. He wants that. Once you've tasted the championship, once you've tasted the main events and having that gold around your waist, it's something you have to have back. You can't. It's so hard to then step back down again, and you want to prove that that is your place. That's where you belong, and that's what he's going to want to do. And yeah, Tommy Tanner is obviously going to want to make a huge impression, just like Chris Aries did, and go on straight from the breakout, straight to become champion. And Taylor's not going to want to let go. So I have no idea which way this one's going to go, but another brilliant match. All six of these matches for a lot of different reasons, and that's what I try to do with Ignite is always try to put together matches that I think everyone's going to enjoy from start to finish. Everyone's going to enjoy the shows from start to finish, and matches that I want to watch as well. And I kind of feel like, as a wrestling fan myself, if I want to watch these matches and enjoy them, then everyone else should enjoy them as well. And yeah, I feel like this card is just so perfect to start the year off, and really kickstart 2026. Yeah,
set the tone. Although You may have to think about also banning Ryan Curran from
Mm.
ringside in this one as well. You got a
Yeah, we
double
got three
shot.
members of the rebellion hanging around this show.
Yeah.
First time we've had all three members all in one place at one time. God knows what's gonna, come out of that, be that in the breakout match or be that in this main event. As yeah.
Utter carnage is going to be. I mean, you mentioned Tommy Turner and AEW. I don't think they've got room for anyone right now.
Well, they seem to keep finding them, so I don't know.
I know. But yeah, well, maybe Tommy can go to TNA or something like that. But yeah, he not yet anyway, because he could be the champion. But for those people that may say, oh well, we never see people like this in WWE, Kit Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, was at Clash. That's a
Yeah,
prime example.
Kit Wilson, or obviously Sammy Smooth when he was over here. And the predecessor to Ignite Wrestling Pro, my first promotion, Pro Wrestling Clash, in the very same venue, 96 Shenley Road. He was the Pro Wrestling Clash champion, someone who was with us from day one at Pro Wrestling Clash as well. So from 96 Shenley Road all the way to WWE, to SmackDown, to Raw, and it can be done, and it has been done. We've shown that can be done, and I think Tommy Tanner will be the next one to do that.
Yeah, definitely so. Right now, at time of recording, and this is now 7:45 at time of recording, I count 20 tickets left for
Yeah,
Sunday.
and that's after having to add in more tickets just today. So, and they've already started flying.
Yeah.
Really happy to see tickets are going so well for this show. We had a whole host of sellouts last year, and then the last show of last year we didn't quite sell out. It seems like we're back on track for another sellout after having one show off. Yeah, we cannot add in any more. This is it. These are the final tickets that we've just put on sale today, and already about a quarter of them have gone. So once those 20 are gone, that is it. So with 2 weeks to go, or slightly less than that by the time you hear this, and there might be less than 20 tickets by then.
They might have already gone by the time
Yeah, we
this
could be
goes
sold
out.
out. By the time you hear this, we could be sold out. So if there are any tickets left by the time you listen to this, my God, be fast, get them, because once they're gone, they're gone. We won't be able to do any more on the door. So that'll be it.
Exactly that. So, with that being said, what about May? What's going on? Are we going to have another show in May? What's
Of
the date?
course,
What's
of
going
course.
on?
May the 3rd will be the follow up to this one. Tickets will be on sale very, very soon for that. By the time you hear this show, tickets will be on sale for May's show. So 96.eventbrite.co.uk for obviously tickets to this show and May's show, which will be on sale by the time you're listening to this in your ears.
There you go. Right. A couple of bits from me before we go. Obviously, the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast is sponsored by Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. If you go to the checkout, if you purchase some stuff from Dubby, enter code HTT Buckle in the code HTT Buckle in capitals, you'll get 10% off your order. Make sure you do. That would be great. So make sure you do that. Now, coming up on the show, by the time this airs, Big Connor from the Ascension will have been out, and you'll be able to see the interview with Connor. It was really, really good actually to talk to Connor, and he's a big guy, but he's a really I never know with these guys what you're gonna see or get, right. One of the nicest people you'll ever speak to. I was really happy to speak to Con, but. Also coming up, we're recording with LJ Cleary. Now, people may say, who's he? Well, think of Lyra Valkyria, and that's her fiance. He's been big in the scene in Ireland. He's been over here. He's been over at Exodus Pro Wrestling. So go and check. Well, hopefully you better check that out very soon. And Jimmy Jacobs from the wrestling ring to the writers' room. Jimmy has done it all in wrestling. We'll be having some stories about his Ring of Honor days as a five-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, him writing the Festival of Friendship and everything else in the WWE. So we're really looking forward to sitting down with Jimmy Jacobs. And I'll give you a hint of someone that may be coming on the show very soon. If I do get him, it would be rather cool. We'll leave that for now, but that is it for now. But you can check out Ignite Rest Pro on socials. Make sure that you do. Every announcement will be made on there, so keep an eye on that. And of course, from us, HTT Buckle everywhere, and you'll find us. But I'll see you on the 15th Chris, you see me, and we hope to see all of you on the 15th. We're looking forward to welcome you all there. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.